You ever notice how some of the deepest betrayals don't come from strangers? They come from people you helped, people you listened to, protected, defended, encouraged, carried, saved when they were falling apart. And somehow, those same people become the ones who switch on you. They grow cold, ungrateful, resentful, disrespectful, sometimes even hostile. And if you've been through that more than once, it does something to you. It makes you ask a painful question. Why does this keep happening? Why do the very people you pour into end up hurting you? Why do the people you lift sometimes become the people who turn against you? Why does kindness so often come back with betrayal? That's what we're talking about in this video. And I want to go straight to the point. It's not always because you helped the wrong people. Sometimes it's because helping changes the psychology of the relationship in ways most people don't understand. Because help is not neutral. Help creates tension, it creates imbalance, it creates dependence, it creates shame. It creates unspoken hierarchy. It creates gratitude in healthy people, but in unhealthy people, it can create resentment. That's the part almost nobody tells you. A lot of people do not know how to receive help without secretly feeling smaller. And if they already have unresolved insecurity, your kindness can stir up something dark in them. Carl Jung would have a lot to say about this. Because Jung understood that people don't just react to what you do for them. They react to what your actions make them feel about themselves. So when you help someone, they may thank you with their words, but inwardly they may also be fighting with shame, inferiority, dependency, envy, and wounded pride. And if they never deal with those feelings consciously, those feelings don't disappear. They get displaced. Onto you. That's why some people don't betray the ones who harmed them. They betray the ones who saw them at their lowest, the ones who know too much, the ones who helped too much, the ones who became a mirror they can't comfortably live with. So if you've been feeling confused by this pattern, this video is going to make a lot of things click. Because once you understand the hidden psychology behind betrayal, you stop taking every wound as proof that you were too kind. Sometimes you were kind. Sometimes they were ashamed. And that combination can become dangerous. Let's get into it. 1. Some people resent the person who saw them powerless. This is probably the deepest part of the whole conversation. A lot of people want help, but they do not want to be seen needing help. They want rescue without vulnerability, support without exposure, comfort without the unbearable feeling of being the weaker one. But real help doesn't work like that. If you were there for someone in their worst season, you saw a version of them they may want to forget. You saw them confused, desperate, lost, financially broken, emotionally shattered, embarrassed, dependent, not in control. And even if you never judged them for it, your memory becomes threatening, because now you exist as living evidence of a chapter they feel ashamed of. That's why some people betray the helper, not because the helper hurt them, but because the helper remembers too much. You become associated with their collapse, their weakness, their need, their humiliation. And instead of processing that pain honestly, they start distancing from the person who witnessed it, or worse, they turn against that person, because psychologically it feels easier to resent the witness than to face the wound. Jung would say this is one of the ways shadow works. A person cannot tolerate the vulnerable, helpless part of themselves, so they project the discomfort outward, onto the one who was there, onto the one who helped, onto the one who saw behind the persona. And once you understand that, a lot of betrayals start making more sense. Some people don't just leave because they changed. They leave because your presence reminds them of who they were when they had nothing to hide behind. And that's a hard reality for a fragile ego to tolerate. 2. Help can make insecure people feel inferior instead of grateful. Now obviously, healthy people appreciate support. Healthy people feel thankful, closer, more trusting. But insecure people often experience help differently. To them, help can feel like hierarchy. It can feel like proof that you were stronger, steadier, smarter, more resourced, more emotionally capable than they were in that moment. And if they already struggle with comparison or pride, that feeling can quietly turn toxic, because gratitude requires humility. And humility is hard for insecure people. So instead of staying in gratitude, they convert that discomfort into resentment. That resentment might sound like this internally. You think you're better than me. You got to see me when I was weak. I owe you. You'll always think you saved me. I hate that I needed you. Even if you never said any of that, even if you were gentle, even if you helped without ego, their internal shame writes its own story. That's why some people slowly become colder after you've done a lot for them, not because your help was bad, but because every act of support touched a wound they never learned how to carry with dignity. Jung understood that people often distort reality to protect the ego from painful truths. And one painful truth is this: I needed help. Some people can't bear that sentence, so they rewrite the story. Now you become controlling. Now you become self-righteous. Now you become too much. Now they start picking apart your motives. Why? Because if they can reduce you, they can reduce the shame they feel around what you represented. And this is where a lot of kind people get confused. They think, but I was there for them. Why are they acting like this? Because help doesn't heal insecurity automatically. Sometimes it exposes it. 3. When you help too much, some people stop seeing love and start seeing dependence. This is a hard truth, but it matters. If you are always the one rescuing, fixing, advising, solving, paying, covering, calming, carrying, you may think you are building closeness. But sometimes you are building dependence, and dependence creates strange emotions. At first, the person may feel relieved, then attached, then ashamed, then irritated, because nobody wants to feel like they can't stand on their own. And if the relationship starts revolving around one person giving and one person receiving, something unhealthy starts forming. The dynamic becomes uneven. Now you're not just loved, you're needed, and being needed can feel powerful for a while, but it can also quietly rot the relationship, because the person receiving all the help may begin to feel trapped by the role they are in. They may feel like the weak one, the broken one, the one always behind, the one always being managed. And over time, even if you meant well, they can start fighting the role by fighting you. Not always openly, sometimes through disrespect, distance, ungratefulness, rebellion, subtle sabotage, because part of them wants freedom from the emotional position they fell into around you. Jung might say that what is unlived and undeveloped in a person eventually demands expression, often in distorted form. If someone's pride, autonomy, and self-respect have been quietly injured by too much dependence, those energies will come back somehow. And if they are not conscious, they may come back as betrayal. That's why helping people without boundaries can backfire, not because helping is wrong, but because too much help given too often can distort how the other person experiences themselves around you. And people will sometimes destroy the relationship just to escape the feeling of being beneath you. 4. Some people don't want healing, they want emotional supply. This one changes everything once you really see it. Not everyone who comes to you for help actually wants to grow. Some people want comfort without transformation, support without responsibility, attention without accountability. They don't want to become stronger. They want to keep returning to a place where someone holds them together. And if you're a naturally empathetic person, it's very easy to mistake their dependence for trust. their constant need for you as closeness, their repeated crises as proof that they really need your heart. But sometimes what they need is not you, it's supply, emotional supply, practical supply, psychological supply. They need your listening, your patience, your forgiveness, your resources, your steadiness. And as long as you keep providing that, things may seem fine, but the moment you pull back, set boundaries, get tired or stop playing savior, their real orientation toward you gets exposed. Now they're angry, now they're cold, now you're different, now you abandoned them. Now they rewrite your kindness as obligation. Why? Because you were never just a person to them, you were a source. And when people relate to you mainly as a source, they often become resentful the moment access changes. Jung would probably connect this to unconscious hunger, the kind that turns relationships into feeding systems instead of real connection. That's why some people betray you the moment you stop over-functioning. Because the bond was never as mutual as you thought. It was built around what flowed from you into them, and when that flow slowed down, the truth came to the surface. That truth hurts, but it also frees you, because now you can stop confusing being useful with being loved. 5. People often betray the one who expects something real from them. This is another painful twist. Sometimes the reason people betray you isn't just because you helped them, it's because your help came with reality. Not manipulation, not control. Reality. If you truly cared, then at some point you probably wanted them to grow. Take responsibility. Make better choices. Stop repeating self-destruction. Become honest. Stand up. Heal. And that is exactly where the tension begins. Because a lot of people love support until support starts asking them to become someone better. They love the comfort. They love the rescue. They love the softness. But they do not love the mirror. They do not love the expectation that they actually do something with the help they were given. And when they feel that expectation, even if you never say it harshly, they can begin to resent you. Because now your presence is no longer just comforting, it's confronting. You remind them of what they know they should be doing. You remind them that they are still wasting what was given. You remind them that they are still avoiding themselves. Jung believed that the psyche resists consciousness when consciousness threatens the ego's preferred illusion. That's exactly what happens here. You become a reminder of the life they could be living but keep refusing to step into. And for some people, it is easier to betray the person who believes in them than to become the person that belief calls forward. That's why some people leave the helper and run toward environments that are worse for them. Because unhealthy environments ask less of their conscience. They don't want love that sees their potential. They want comfort that allows their patterns to survive. And that is one of the saddest reasons betrayal happens. Sometimes people leave not because you were bad for them, but because you were too real. 6. If you make people feel indebted, even unintentionally, resentment can build quietly. Now this part needs nuance. Sometimes you really did help with a good heart. But if the help was repeated enough, visible enough, or emotionally heavy enough, the other person may start feeling a debt they don't know how to repay. And emotional debt is dangerous, because not everybody knows how to carry gratitude in a healthy way. Some people feel gratitude for a while, then burden, then guilt, then anger. It sounds irrational, but it happens all the time. Why? Because debt creates pressure. And if the person receiving help feels like they can never equal the balance, they may start looking for ways to psychologically escape the debt. One way people do that is by devaluing the helper. If they can convince themselves that your help wasn't that special, or that you had selfish motives, or that you were controlling, or that they never really needed you like that, then they don't have to feel the full weight of what was given. This is one reason some people betray by rewriting history. Suddenly they act like your sacrifices were nothing, like your presence didn't matter, like your support came with hidden agendas. Why are they doing that? Often because they are trying to free themselves from the discomfort of indebtedness without having to grow enough to repay it with maturity. Jung would likely say this is another defense of the ego, because real gratitude requires a person to face something difficult. I received something important from you, and if their pride can't hold that truth, they may distort the whole relationship instead. This is why some betrayal feels so absurd, because the facts don't match the new story they tell. But the story was never about facts. It was about psychological relief. 7. The rescuer role can attract people who unconsciously need someone to betray. This one goes very deep. If you are constantly the helper, the fixer, the strong one, the one who carries everyone, you may also be unconsciously stepping into a role, the rescuer. And the rescuer role has a shadow too. Sometimes helping others makes you feel needed, valuable, important, safe, in control. Not always in a bad way, sometimes very innocently. But if helping becomes part of your identity, you may start attracting people who fit the opposite side of that dynamic. People who need saving, but also secretly resent being saved. That's a dangerous pairing. Because now both people are in a kind of unconscious contract. One person feels important by helping. The other feels supported, but also diminished by receiving. And eventually, that hidden tension wants out. Jung talked a lot about unconscious patterns repeating until they are made conscious. So if you keep finding yourself betrayed by the people you help, there may be two truths at once. They had unhealed shame and resentment, and you may need to examine why you keep stepping into relationships where your worth gets tied to rescuing. That's not self-blame, that's self-awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you can stop confusing overhelping with love. You can stop building relationships where your role is to hold everybody up and then feel shocked when they resent the position they're in around you. Sometimes the deeper healing is not learning how to help better. It's learning when not to become the emotional structure someone else is supposed to build for themselves. That changes everything. 8. Betrayal often comes when the person is finally strong enough to rebel, but not healed enough to be grateful. This is another pattern that happens constantly. At first, they need you. Later, they stabilize. They get a little stronger, a little more independent, a little more confident. And instead of becoming more appreciative, they become more rebellious, more dismissive, more disrespectful, more distant. Why? Because now they finally have enough strength to push against the dynamic, but not enough maturity to do it cleanly. So instead of saying, I appreciate you, but I need to find my own footing now, they withdraw harshly, act ungrateful, turn cold, or betray. This is actually very common. The person doesn't know how to separate from the helping dynamic in an adult way, so they do it through rejection. They have to make you the problem so they can emotionally justify stepping away from the dependency. Jung might describe this as a crude attempt at individuation. The person wants autonomy, but because they have not integrated their own shame and gratitude, they pursue autonomy through hostility instead of clarity. That's why some people seem to hate you most right after you help them become more stable. It feels backwards, but psychologically it makes sense. They're trying to escape the identity of the one who needed you, and they think the only way to do that is to emotionally attack the bond itself. That doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. 9. Sometimes you were never betrayed because you were weak. You were betrayed because you were safe. This one matters. A lot of kind people come away from betrayal thinking, I should be harder. I should care less. I should never help anyone again. But that's not always the real lesson. Sometimes the reason people betrayed you is because you were safe enough for them to show their most unresolved self. You were patient enough, loyal enough, understanding enough, forgiving enough, and because you were safe, they unconsciously dumped the parts of themselves they couldn't carry. Their shame, their dependence, their envy, their anger, their confusion. In other words, they didn't betray you because you were weak. They betrayed you because your presence gave their unconscious somewhere to go. That's painful, but it's important, because it means your softness was not stupidity. Your care was not foolishness. The real lesson is not become cold, it's become discerning. Learn where your empathy belongs. Learn who can receive help without turning it into resentment. Learn the difference between supporting someone and carrying them. Learn when your compassion is healing and when it is feeding a dynamic that will eventually punish you. That is wisdom. And honestly, that's probably the Carl Jung turn in this whole conversation. The goal is not to stop loving, it's to stop loving unconsciously. So why do the people you help always betray you? Not always, but often for reasons like these. Because you saw them powerless, because your help made them feel inferior, because dependence slowly turned into resentment, because they wanted comfort, not growth, because your presence became a mirror, because gratitude felt like debt, because the rescuer dynamic was unhealthy from the start, because they wanted autonomy without humility, because your safety became the place where their shadow got acted out. And once you understand that, betrayal stops looking so random. It still hurts, but it stops feeling meaningless. You start seeing the psychology. You stop thinking every betrayal means you were too good or too naive. Sometimes it means you were helping people who had no healthy relationship with receiving. And sometimes it means your own role in the pattern needs to change too. Maybe the real lesson isn't never help anyone. Maybe it's never help in a way that makes you responsible for someone's self-respect. That line changes everything. Support people, yes. Love people, yes. Be kind, yes. But don't build relationships where your role is to rescue and their role is to need you. Because sooner or later, many people will punish the person who held them in a position they secretly hated being in. And before I leave you with the call to action, I want to ask you something for the comment section, because I know a lot of people have lived this. What was the first sign that someone you helped was starting to resent you? Was it distance, disrespect, coldness, or the way they rewrote what you did for them? That question says a lot. And I think a lot of people are going to recognize themselves in the answers. If this spoke to you, comment, "I see the pattern now.